Hello everyone, and welcome to today's career clarity. Today we are bringing you a very exciting episode, and at the back of that, we're just welcoming Mr. Wim, who went to overseas for his career training, career academy training, and in Nigeria. Which the news I'm receiving was that his journey was a success, and also he's traveling. Mr. Wen has been booked the second time, if not the third time again, to travel to Nigeria and also travel to other African countries for his career coaching this thing, talk and speech. So we are welcoming him back today. Mr. Webb, thank you for joining us and welcome back from your trip. How was your
Thank you
trip?
very, thank you very much, Joe.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me back. And
Yeah.
thank you for the welcome. The trip was exciting. Was very,
Yeah.
very exciting. The product has been well received in Nigeria, and like you already said, I've had a lot of invitations to come back, and it's getting a lot of momentum. People are seeing value, especially in the Discover Your Capability program, and people are seeing how you can create value starting from yourself, and that
Mm.
is the most exciting thing about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe when you come back again from your second trip, we'll really probably have a
My
dedicated
third
time
trip,
to
you mean? My third
your
trip.
third trip. So we have a dedicated time to talk about the sources of those trips,
Yeah.
Awesome. So and today we have this very very exciting topic in this episode of career clarity, which I think a lot of people will find it very interesting. It's one of the critical aspect of job hunting, which is the interview preparation.
Yep.
So before we dive into that, interview is sometimes it's nerve wracking. So many people prepare for interview with a lot of nervousness, self confidence. People lack confidence. What we want to talk about today, obviously, being that is your area, and sometimes you interview people. So let's dive in today. Before my first question today is, what are your top tips for somebody who is preparing for it?
Thank you very much for that question, Joe. This is a very exciting time for us here, especially in helping people to navigate themselves in preparing for interviews. Like you said it correctly, interviews can be very nerve-wracking times for people.
Mhm.
However, there's no need to be nervous about it because all what you need to get yourself set for your next interview, we're going to talk about it just now. First of all, you have to research the company thoroughly. Any company that's invited you for an interview, we have the internet, go on their website, go to their LinkedIn page, go to Glassdoor, research the company thoroughly, understand their mission, the values, the products and services, the recent news and competitors, what they're offering. Now, the next thing for the person preparing for this interview is to understand the job description. Identify all the key responsibilities and required skills.
Yeah.
Then match your experience, even from school projects or volunteering work you've been doing, to those requirements. And it's always advisable to prepare your answers on what I would call the STAR-based approach, STAR, which is an acronym that stands for situation, task, action, result, to structure your answers or responses to the behavioral questions you'll be asked, so that gives a clear-cut structure on how you can deliver value that you added in the project or whatever you've been asked. And also practice aloud. Rehearse your answers in the front of a mirror, record yourself, do mock interviews with friends, mentors, and always be comfortable with answering those questions, and prepare thoughtful questions, because at the end of the interview, they will always ask you something. Do you have any question for us? You know what I'm saying? So prepare thoughtful questions, Have 2 to 3 insightful questions ready to ask the interviewer. Again, this shows interest and critical thinking. Question like, what does a typical day look like for you? Or what is the most exciting thing about your work since you started working in this company? Something like that, something quite insightful, And also, more importantly, depending on whether it is virtual or physical, dress appropriately and arrive early. First impressions matter a lot. Being well-groomed and punctual sets the tone. And of course, the CV, last thing is the CV you're using, know it inside out. Be ready to speak confidently about everything you've written down. With that, go in there and smash it.
Yeah, that's a brilliant answer. But I want to chip in this question because so many times some people prepare for all this thing, structure their question with the star what do you call it? The star approach and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But when you get to the interview, the whole subject changes.
What do you mean by
Like
repeat it?
when people prepare themselves with the star approach, structure their questions, what if in a scenario where you get to the interview and everything that you prepared is not what you are getting?
Well, again, it would depend on the role you're applying for, because every question they're going to ask you is going to come out of the job description. Everything they're going to ask you is going to come out of the job description, and how your skill set aligns with the job description in order to deliver value. So that's why you need to understand the job description inside out.
Yeah.
But once you understand the job description inside out, what do they want? Then you are now going to match your skill set to those requirements. And you want to look at prior experiences that you've had, how you can use them to deliver value. Don't forget that you're going to a new company now. So you're going to be doing this. But the previous experience you've had is how you're going to tweak it to deliver value here. So being able to talk about it, not hypothetically, not theoretically, but in this project, when I was working on this project, I was able to look at the processes. And when I started that project, before, customers used to complain, and by the time the issues are resolved, it used to take 3-4 days. But after I looked at the process end to end, I found out where the gaps were, I optimized it, and customers' complaints were now resolved within 24 hours. You see, you've added value. You've been able to show clearly that from 3 days, you've cut down the time of resolving conflict from customers to just under a day or a day max. That's value. So no matter what you go into, everything they're going to ask you is based on the job description. And being able to match what you've done before to see how you will add value here is always what you need to prepare yourself for.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that question. Because that marries, there's one interview I sat, I think that was last around June or thereabout. So there were two hiring managers. They asked me two similar questions. They asked me like, what in my place of work, what have I done that affected the people, like the customers, in a positive way? And they asked me another question, said, what have you done, like something that you did, like a change that you initiated, that you need to convince the high ups, like that change have to benefit the customers. And at first it was a little bit of a tricky question. I told the interviewer, I said, I answered the first one, what I did that benefited the customers. Then the second one was, I told them, I said, okay, just go to the next question and I'll come back to that question. Then I remembered when I had at one of my workplace where I was, the people that were, because it was a hostel where people who, like, being that I work within the prison service and Ministry of Justice. So the people there, they don't have IT system like computers where they can check their personal stuff, and most of them they go to the city center to use the cyber cafe, and there is not a lot of cyber cafe. And sometimes they come to disturb us in our office to help them do common things like check their emails. So I have to convince the deputy director, the deputy manager, the operational manager, even to the big boss, to say, okay, these people need a computer. And if we can get 1 or 2 computers to set it up here so that they can use it, a computer that it doesn't return data, just when you log out, you log. I do something like that. I got that job, you know. So I think it marries with what you said, like, you know, using your previous roles experience too, you know. So yeah.
Now you see, being able to talk about how you added value is part of your capability you have to show and demonstrate during an interview. There was a need in that organization. What was the need? The need was that the people there did not have access to an IT equipment, a device like a laptop or a computer. So because of that, they went to the city center to go to the cyber cafe to go and check their mails and things like that. So you saw that gap, and then you use your initiative to address the gap. You spoke to the relevant stakeholders in the organization to say, is there a budget that we can be able to try and get a computer, 1 or 2 for them here, so that they can come to use it, as opposed to them going to either the cyber cafe in the city center or coming to distributors to check their mails. And the computer can be configured such that there is no data retention. Okay. But once they log off, So, and then you were able to, now you have demonstrated, okay, to the potential employer how you have been able to analyze gaps. You've seen the gaps,
Yeah.
and you use your initiative, and you were able to convince stakeholders. So having meaningful conversation with stakeholders in order to be able to deploy the solution. And then you finally deploy the solution. So it's talking about the STAR approach now. You go by, this is the situation. The situation was that the people here were not having access to IT device to be able to check their emails. Okay. So that's the situation. Then the task. Okay. And then the action you took. And then the result, which was being able to convince and persuade the stakeholders to be able to deploy a laptop to put, or a machine to put there so that they can check their mails. And that way you save yourself a lot of trouble of them coming to disturb you or going to the city center to go and check their mails, you see?
Yeah. Yeah, that's resonated very well. So my next question is there are I'll bring it to new students who like recent graduates.
Okay.
How do students and recent graduates make a strong impression with limited experience? In this period that everybody's hammering with experience. New graduates, other than the work that they have done in the school, maybe some collaboration and a lot of few little things they did. How do they make good impression with this, with the kind of situation they find themselves?
Very good question. In fact, last year or thereabout, I was at London Metropolitan University. I was speaking to master students on this same question you've just raised now. Okay, they keep talking about how do we show experience? Every job we want to apply for, they're asking for experience. We don't have the experience. How do we do? What do we do? And I told them, listen, first thing is you got to highlight transferable skills. Use examples from academic projects, part-time work, volunteer roles, or extracurriculars you've done to show teamwork, communication, problem solving, leadership, initiative. Now, the thing is that people always feel that you have to have a big title for you to be able to now say, okay, I did this kind of work. It could be in the community. It could be even in the church. It could be in the mosque. It could be in your son's football club. Okay. It could be that simple thing like maybe you're a good football player and you find out that they need people to help coach the team or support the team when they go for matches. And then you decided that, you know what, I'm going to step in and give a support there. And then that is an experience of collaborative work, teamwork, communication, and problem solving. It could be something as simple as that, because from there, people can pick up that, oh, yeah, you've got these transferable skills. You've been able to do this. But because normally speaking, people don't, maybe because we're not taught earlier on to be proactive, that when you are in school, join clubs, you know what I'm saying? Join societies, participate in extracurricular, when they're doing work, like when they want to do something like open day, volunteer to take people around, to take them on tours, you know what I'm saying? Volunteer to share your experiences to the new people coming to the university. Don't just think, oh, that doesn't belong to me, I'm not going to, because that is what you're going to use to talk for an interview when you want a placement. You see what I'm saying? So participate in events at school, at college, and then highlight those transferable skills. And also show a growth mindset. Employers love to see a willingness to learn. Receive feedback and adapt. Also demonstrate preparation. Mention things you've read about the company and express enthusiasm for contributing to their goals. Communicate with confidence. Don't go in there and you're just shy and speaking as if somebody's standing over your back with a hammer to knock your head. You know what I'm saying? Speak clearly and with positive body language. Be genuine. It's good to be authentic, Show evidence of initiative. If you've done an online course, created a project on your own, or helped organize an event, mention it. You see, like that thing you just told us about where you were working before, that initiative, you know what I'm saying? That's a powerful initiative. It communicates a lot of skills. Okay, skills like you can self-start a project and take it to logical conclusion. Communication skills is embedded in there. You were able to communicate with the relevant stakeholders. And you cited a problem, So that's another thing, gap analysis. You saw that there was a gap here. So you looked at the gap and then you took that initiative and you began to follow it through to be able to persuade and convince the stakeholders, communication, checking things out until finally it was resolved end to end. There's a lot of skill set embedded in that single initiative you took. So things like that. You see what I'm saying? So, and then Frame your story. Also, you can say things like, "Though I'm early in my career, I've already had experience with such and such things, or I'm eager to bring fresh energy and a sharp learning curve to this role." Don't forget that when other people are in a role 20 years, 30 years, it's difficult to see fresh perspective because they've been doing the same thing over and over again and again. But what you are coming in fresh from school is that you're coming in with a fresh perspective, with the latest initiative, latest research shows this. So you're bringing that fresh energy to come and revolutionize or help up the tempo in that. So it is your ability to sell and create this strong impression with that, if I may use limited experience, that makes the employer to say, you know what, if we don't hire this person, we're going to miss out.
Thank you. So that will bring us to my next question, which is a little bit of community specific. While we talk about new graduates, we talk about people who change environment, especially people who come from other countries. And facing interview in a new environment where you don't know what, like, you are very new to the labor market, and the demands and experiences, they're very, very tricky for somebody. Somebody who is new to a particular environment, especially in the UK here, for example, how can they manage the nerves, and all the pressures that come with going to for a new professional interview, or for a role? How can they manage their nerves and the pressure that interview in another environment brings?
To have nerves, thank you for that question, Joe. And it's a very valid question. To have nerves is a normal thing. Yeah. There's nothing wrong about having nerves, anxiety, and all of that. But here's the thing, you have to normalize the nerves. Don't make it sound extraordinary. Understand that it's normal, it's perfectly human to feel anxious, especially in unfamiliar settings. But don't make it look as if something is wrong with you to have the nerves, because some people make it look as if something is wrong with them. Why am I so nervous? No, there's nothing wrong with you. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? That will assure you. That's number one. Then the next tip I could give there is to practice cultural orientation. Learn about the expected professional conduct, language, and social cues in the new environment. Look for people who've been here already working. Look for somebody to talk to about. Maybe, if possible, in the same industry you want to go into, so that they can help you. And, because don't forget that two different environments, the jokes that people crack is not the same, like where you're coming from. The sense of humor is different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There are some things that in some workplaces people avoid talking about. For example, politics. There's a place I used to work where people never used to talk about politics. It was prohibited to talk about politics and to talk about religion and to talk about football. It was when I was working in a site in London. It was just prohibited. Don't talk about those things, because people supported different football clubs, and when they come in there, there's always this big argument. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and then religion, this one will say that, people can be very passionate about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then this one will say, I'm a Tory, this one, I'm a Labour, free. It's always this. So they said, no, don't talk about it. So you have to understand these things, okay? In some culture, for example, in Nigeria, where I came from to here, okay, when you're growing up, it's not exactly a nice thing for you to be looking at your adult eyeball to eyeball. So if an elder is talking to you, put your face down, or you don't give eye contact. But here, it is considered inappropriate for you to not maintain eye contact. You see, so these are all things that when you come to the new environment, you have to try to learn so that you fit in. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And also, in this environment, we read a lot about people's body language.
Yeah.
People's body posture. So how you position yourself shows whether you're engaged with what people are saying or not. So you have to learn these things. You see what I'm saying? When you learn about it, it will help you to manage the nerves. Another thing is breathing exercise. What I always recommend to my clients is like practice box breathing, which is you inhale. And as you're inhaling, you count up to 4, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you hold your breath for 4 seconds again, and you exhale. As you're exhaling, you count up to 4, and then you hold 4 to calm your nerves before interviews. It's a very powerful thing. It's called the inhale, count, hold, exhale, hold. So 4 seconds. You inhale. As you're inhaling, breathing in, you count up to 4, and then you hold it. You hold your breath for 4 seconds. You exhale, breathe out 4 seconds, and after breathing out, you hold for 4 seconds. It's a powerful thing to calm down your nerves before the interview. Again, remember, preparation equals to confidence. The more prepared you are, the more confident you feel, And also start saying nice things to yourself. Reframe your situation. Instead of saying, I'm nervous, say, I'm excited to share who I am. I always tell my folks, my people that work with me and stuff, when they're going for an interview, I say, always look at it as an opportunity to sell yourself, as an opportunity to show what you have to offer. So don't be nervous about that. Be excited about talking about what you have to offer. Because for them to even invite you for the interview, it means they've spotted something in you.
Yeah.
So that's a good opportunity to go and depending on how you sell yourself, you may not even get the job. But I've been in a situation where I've gone for an interview. I didn't get the job. The next thing they called me, they said another opportunity has come up here, and we want you to come in for that role. Even though you didn't get the other one, but come in for that role.
Yeah.
And I went in and I got it. So so don't always look at it as if you don't get it, you've lost. No. Depending on how you sell yourself, impressions last,
Yeah.
Another technique I always tell people is visualization. Mentally walk through a successful interview. Posture, your smile, your voice, and your calm. And again, for people who have been through my Discover Your Capability program, you have to pull out all the tools in your arsenal to woo, if I may use that word, to woo your interviewers. It could be your smile. It could be the fact that you're curious to learn new stuff. So you're working for a tech company that is going to be deploying a new solution. You say you love learning new solutions. And the people interviewing will be excited, saying, okay, this guy may not have the experience with maybe SAP Oracle or HRIS solution, but he's excited to learn about new stuff. And I would rather get somebody who is excited about learning new stuff in the tech world than somebody who thinks they know everything and they come with that stuck-up attitude and can't even see different perspectives. This is what I mean. So always see yourself successfully walking through an interview. Then anchor yourself. Always carry a comfort object, example, maybe a pen, or a bracelet, or, and just to help you, comfort you, you know what I'm saying? And always repeat the grounding affirmation before going in. I belong here. I have value. I'm going in here to show them what I've got. Those things will help calm your nerves.
Thank you so much. So before we wrap up, I will just take maybe 2 minutes to give us what you think is the example of powerful responses to tricky questions during an interview.
Yes, it's very important that you always have some answers to trick what I would call. Okay, let me give an example. Maybe you go for an interview and they ask you, what's your biggest weakness? That's a very tricky question because everybody has got weakness, but you don't want to say weakness that's going to bounce you off. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you must be. So to me, it's about being able to create. Yes, this used to be my biggest big weakness, but I'm doing something about it now to help me out. I'll give you an example. I used to take on too much work without asking for help, thinking it showed initiative. Yeah. But I've learned that collaboration and clear boundaries actually lead to better outcomes. So I now prioritize communication and teamwork more intentionally. You see, that shows that you're doing something about your weakness. You don't just take on things to just because you want to show initiative. And sometimes you carry too much that you cannot take it through. You know what I'm saying? And then it becomes the burden. But now I've learned collaboration and clear boundaries, which lead to better outcomes. That's one example. I can give another example. I can ask you a question like, tell me about a time you failed. If you say you've not failed before, that's a lie, obviously, because we've all failed, not once, not twice, not 3 times. You know what I'm saying? But the key thing is when you fail, not just that, what did you do? What lesson did you learn from that? So example, in my final year, I missed a coursework deadline due to poor time management. Yeah. That shows clearly that you've done a root cause analysis on what led to your failure, which was poor time management. I learned the hard way that good intentions aren't just enough. Since then, I've used calendar blocking and progress tracking tools to help keep myself accountable. And since then, I haven't missed a deadline. Again, that shows you that you've been doing something about your situation, about your when you fail, what you learn from it. And last example I will give is, this is always like what they call in Nigeria, Expo Show Banker. Why should we hire you? And you have to be able to sell yourself confidently. Why should you hire me? Because I bring a strong foundation of relevant skills that you have, maybe problem solving, tech. I know how to work with the dev team, or I know how to ask the relevant stakeholders questions that will bring out the pain points they're experiencing, and I'm able to communicate this effectively, document it effectively, so that the development team can be able to build solutions that addresses the pain points directly. You see, a fast learning curve, and enthusiasm for the role. You should gotta speak about it. I may be early in my career, but I'm deeply committed to contributing and growing with your team and ready to hit the ground running. So when you talk with such enthusiasm, talk with such genuine, authentic passion for the role, that makes the people listening to you say, oh, you know what, this guy's a good guy. Do you see what I mean?
Well, that is a powerful one. So, thank you so much for today's section, and it's been a wonderful time discussing this very important topic of interview preparation. And that will bring us to conclude today's episode. And what do you have for our audience? Obviously, everybody was waiting to hear from you.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in once again with Joe on this career thing, which is a very important topic. And like you said, sometimes Joe will talk about the Discover Your Capability program that is the latest product from my stables that is gaining a lot of momentum now. That's helping people through. Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for joining us, and do have a good evening.
You too. Take care. Bye for now.